It's time for the adventures of Hellie in clinical trial land again. I'm not sure which part we're on now. It's all going very fast. I find these weeks kind of all blurring into one. I'm going to give you a little quick recap of what's been going on, because you might not have been watching any of the other episodes or reading in the blog. My name is Helena. I am 40 years old. I have been diagnosed with MS for just over 11 years. I am on disease-modifying drugs, and I am on a trial, a clinical trial at Edinburgh Hospital, using repurposing, I think is the word, a cancer drug which they are hoping would help with remyelination, which would mean to sort of grow back the bits of the brain that has been damaged by MS. I sounded like I was going to grow a new brain. That might be even better, but that's sadly not part of the trial. So, I've been taking the tablets for, this is going to be my third week of starting taking, since I started taking them. And I've shown you the tablets, and they are massive. They're still massive, they haven't shrunk. They're still quite hard to swallow, but I suppose it gets easier. I find that if I kind of preoccupy myself, so if I sit down and watch TV while I'm doing it, it's like that stuff that they say to people who are eating a bit too much, that you shouldn't be eating whilst watching TV because you just don't think about what you put in your mouth. That's sort of the approach that I'm going. So I am sitting watching something on Netflix, eating the thing, drinking, and then doing it like that, and it seemed to be working. I still find that it feels like they get stuck in my throat, and it's not pleasant, but I find if you drink quite a lot of water afterwards, it seemed to be going. So that's where I'm up to with the pills. How am I feeling? I've been okay, but I've been very, very tired. On Sunday I did like a Victorian lady and took to my bed chambers and hid under the duvet and didn't come out. I don't, I still don't know if I'm on the drugs or if it's placebo. It's just that it's been very, very, very hot, and I think that just made my fatigue go crazy, and I just couldn't. I tried to even talk to my husband and string two sentences together, and it just didn't happen. It was just awful. And then I managed to get some sort of eye infection. I don't know if it was conjunctivitis or what it was, but my eyes were really yucky. So I just decided that no, I shouldn't be available to the public today. That's that. And then shut myself in the bedroom for a day. That seemed to help. I think maybe my body just really needed some rest. So I mentioned the eye as well. Apparently, because one of the side effects can be dry eyes. It wasn't exactly dry eyes, but it's still been a bit. I've been using eye drops a lot. I don't know why I've been a little bit headachy, but again, that could just be the heat. So I don't really necessarily think that is connected. Could be. Who knows? I went up to Edinburgh today. And today it was quite interesting actually, because it was really, really busy in the waiting room. The other times I've been up, there's been a few people, but I haven't sort of really understood who's there and who's not, what trial people are on. But when we were sitting today, we sort of figured out that we were quite a lot of us that were on the same trial. So we started chatting, and it was really interesting. So there was two people there that were thinking of starting the trial. There was two people that were nearly finished with the trial, and there was one person who had finished the trial and came in for sort of the last checkup thing. So yeah, it was quite interesting. We were all sort of comparing notes a little bit. Everybody just, you know, kind of chuckled and went, the size of the pills, yeah. And then we sort of talked about how do you swallow them best. The people that hadn't started yet, they did look a little bit terrified. But once you get into it, it's not that bad. But yeah, it was really interesting talking to other people that are on the trial, because, and not just this trial, because there were people that were on other trials as well. Because I think the consensus in there, we were sort of talking about whether, you know, if it would be really disappointing being on the placebo or not. But I think everyone there was almost thinking that it's not so much about being on the placebo or getting things fixed. It was more about doing your part and helping out and doing something for the greater good of humanity. It sounds a bit silly, but it actually does feel quite sort of noble in some funny way. And you feel really positive coming out of there, because you realise that, you know, research is happening, people are doing things. You know, people, having had MS for 11 years, it is, you know, a horrible disease, and it, you know, for some people it really affects them on a daily basis, and it's you know, it can be devastating. And to know that there is a lot of stuff being done in the field of research, it really gives you hope. One thing I have to say is that everybody that I've met so far up at Addenbrook's part of the research team, they're also really enthusiastic, and they're really sort of positive about it, and they really like, well, they seem like they really like having you there, and they talk to you on the level that feels like you're part of the team in somewhat. I mean, yes, so I am the lab rat, but they don't treat me, they don't give me little snacks and make me run in a wheel. They you know, they talk to me on a level that feels more like this is going to sound a bit silly, but like a normal person, because sometimes you find when you go and see health professionals that they do feel like they belittle you a little bit, like, you know, they're there, you are the patient, I am the doctor. Whilst here I've felt much more like you are part of the whole team and the whole kind of experience of doing this clinical trial, which I really didn't expect at all to be feeling like. What else happened at the meeting? I saw a different doctor from who I normally see. He was also very nice, and he had this guy with him who is actually part of the sort of more lab part of the research. We were joking that he now got to meet people rather than just sitting in the lab. And it was, yeah, he'd been involved with the trial for over 2 years, sort of just seeing the results part, but then now actually started to meet the patient. So that was quite interesting. I do find that I could probably quite happily hang around up at Addenbrook's the whole day and just chat to people, probably get in their way. But it's just, I don't know, I find it really interesting what they're doing. So they looked at my blood, this was the blood test from last week, and they said they were all good. So I kind of started thinking, well, does that mean I'm on the placebo because you can't see any changes or anything? And they said, no, it's too early to tell, and not everybody that are on the drug shows anything in blood. And I think Dr. Nick told me last time that it was 25% of people that end up with a thyroid problem and other people don't. So I suppose, you know, it's still too early to tell whether it's placebo or the real thing. But I think that's it, really. Waiting time. Actually, I haven't said anything about that. So once you go up there, they give you a new prescription, and then you have to rush down to pharmacy. The waiting time at pharmacy is horrible. It's taking like 2 hours to get your drugs. And I was chatting to some of the people waiting in the waiting room, and they are not local at all. So I'm half an hour on the train away from Cambridge, so it's not so bad. But these are like people that kind of travelled halfway across the country, and they have to sit there and wait for the drugs when they probably just want to go home. But again, that shows what dedication of people want to be in this trial and want to help out. So that's, I suppose, really good. So yes, I shall give you an update again next week. And actually, can I say, if you are on a trial, clinical trial, or even on this clinical trial, it would be really interesting to hear from you. You could put something in the comments below, either on the blog or on the YouTube video, or if on Facebook. It would just be interesting to hear other people's accounts on being on clinical trials and what they felt was good, what was bad, what made them want to take part and things like that. It would just be interesting to hear from other people in the same situation. Okay, hope you're all well. Bye.